Let me know when we're live. All right. Bear with me for a second here. Oh, I hate this thing. What? Do you need help? No, I think I'm all right. I don't know what the hell's going on with this thing. Hey, Lauren. What's going on?
How are you?
All right, good. Give me a second. I know we're live here, but... oh, my God. Getting old, Lauren.
Stand in line, brother.
I'm getting old, you know? I don't know. I never thought I'd get old. It's hitting me hard, man. It's hitting me hard. Every day there's a different pain or something. But I'm not going to complain to you, of all people. All right, so here it is. I mean, we're live. They could hear us right now, Lauren. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly introduce you. I'm going to play a scene from They Come to America 3, the one where you were in it with me. And then I'll bring you in, okay?
All right.
All right. So we're building up our audience here. I think we're probably built up at this point, right, Harlan? Yeah. All right. All right. So Harlan is not going to join us today. We're having some work here done. And Harlan's taken off, as you know, to Italy for the second time of his life. You notice how I say that every time, Harlan. And he's going to Italy for the second time of his life. So it's actually the third? That's a story for another time. Let me get Laura in here. We may actually now finally go fisticuffs, because now he's officially lying to me. Yeah, he's only told me about two. He's going to, I'm sorry, so I've been lying to you. He's now going to Italy for his third time. Yours truly, probably like you, have never been to Italy. So anyway, so we have a great guest today. Not only is she a personal friend of mine, she's one of my favorite people that I have met over the past few years. Probably, I don't know how many years ago I met her, but I mean, one of the my favorite people. She has done an incredible amount for me when I was thinking about running for office, actually exploring it. She held an event in her town, so this way people would know who I was and hear what I had to say. She and I have gone back many times before. I feel as if we would have known each other early in life, we probably would have been in the same circle of friends. If not, maybe even best friends, for that matter. Every time I'm talking to her, I just absolutely love it. Her name is Lauren Price. She is a veteran. I'm going to read out some of the things here about her, so this way you know. She enlisted in the U.S. Navy in 2005. And I'm jumping, so this way we could get to her, but there's more to this. But she joined the U.S. Navy in 2005. She served as a convoy driver and public affairs officer for a year in Baghdad, Iraq, from February 2007 to March 2008. She served as Intel and Logistics Lead Petty Officer at Defense Logistics Agency, U.S. Central Command. Awards is the part I really like. Army Commendation Medal, Joint Service Achievement Medal, Army Achievement, Combat Action Ribbon, National Defense Service Medal, Iraqi Campaign Medal with Star, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Naval Reserve Meritorious Service, Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal, Navy Overseas Service Ribbon, and Army Driver Badge. She had to retire for medical reasons, which we're going to get into during this walk and talk here, in January of 2015. She is also the founder of Veterans Warriors, and her husband also is a veteran, and they are just an unbelievably great couple. I had the pleasure of being welcomed into their home in Florida back when I told you I was running, and also we filmed for They Come to America 3. So those of you who have seen They Come to America 3, Lauren Price is going to be nobody new to you. For those of you who did not see it, Tim's going to play a clip right now. It lasts for about a minute, and it is just going to reveal to you something very sad about what is going on in Miss Price's life. Play.
I promise you get me laughing, I won't be able to talk.
Why do you cough so much?
I have a terminal lung condition I contracted in Iraq. It's called constrictive bronchiolitis. It's derived from chemical exposures. It used to be called the microwave disease.
So even talking right now, it's hard for you to grab the air to speak words.
Yeah.
You said terminal.
Yeah. My lung function was just tested again by the Navy in June, and the best of 3 was 48%. That will only get worse as time goes on. VA denied treating my lung condition at all. I'm rated for it, but they refused to treat me. The pulmonary exposure fellow at James A. Haley took 15 months for me to get an appointment.
15 months?
Yeah. And when I got there, my husband and I went in there. He never listed my lungs, checked me, never touched me physically, never reviewed my record, and told me that until my PTSD was cured, he would not treat me. He would not even talk to me. He wouldn't renew my medication. He wouldn't do anything.
Back. All right, I didn't know that the clip ended. I couldn't hear the clip in my ear, sorry. All right, so without further ado, I want to bring in here Lauren Price. Lauren?
Hi, Dennis.
All right, how are you, sweetheart? Let me tell you, periodically I'll get somebody who says to me, don't call a woman beautiful on air, you're gonna get sued. I can bet my bottom dollar that you're not gonna sue me. So therefore, let me tell you, sweetheart, you look absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Oh, thank you, dear. That's a high compliment coming from you. It really is. And to reinforce what you said, yeah, we probably in another life were like brother and sister. Dennis is one of my dearest friends.
I appreciate that. So first of all, let me dive in by asking, how are you feeling? Because if you're feeling as good as you look, then maybe we're going in the right direction.
No, actually makeup does wonders. My lung function's down between 30 and 35%. As we know, there's nothing we can do about it. So it is what it is. Just now it's just a matter of we take every day and I do as much as I can or as little as I can and be comfortable and still living in Florida in the sunshine. So stay happy.
I want to bring up something that happened yesterday. The president, and I'm going to have to read off some notes here because I couldn't remember it all. The notes here tell me that I just scribbled down before you came on. President Trump actually extended, he signed an executive order to extend the Veterans Choice Program and Improvement Act. And I'm probably going to beat it up here a little bit. You're the expert in this area. You'll be able to dive in a little bit deeper about whether or not it's useless, whether or not it's great, whatever it may be. But by and large, from what I understand, it assigns $10 billion. So this way veterans can get the care they need if they have to go outside the VA. And from what I understand in this program, that if somebody has been waiting for 30 days or more to be seen by the VA, they can exercise this. Or if they live more than 40 miles away from the nearest VA, they can exercise this. Unfortunately, from what I've seen from this as well, is that although it's extended now and it will go beyond the August deadline, there are many vets who complain about it, saying it doesn't make things any easier. If anything, it just makes it more confusing. And then the service providers, I think there's only 2 service providers who are actually joined into this, are complaining because what they do is they bill the VA for the services that they give the veterans, and yet they're complaining about not getting paid from the VA. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and you could let me know how accurate this stuff is, and is this a good program or is it not?
First and foremost, the intent behind the program was good, and I cannot tell you how appreciative we are that the president extended the sunset on this bill so that it would continue to operate. What we're hoping, though, is that the president is going to have a little more involvement with the Department of Veterans Affairs in how the program itself is being operated. The $10 billion was the same number that was given to the program the first time when it was signed into law under President Obama. And what happened was the 2 service providers you're thinking of are the 2 entities that are the middleman between the VA and the civilian providers out in the world. Unfortunately, those providers are a typical bureaucratic contract, low man, low bid. They had no idea what to do with this. We are still right this minute dealing with a case of bills that are outstanding for 2.5 years for a choice approved provider. And those bills are in excess of about $500,000 for the veteran. the bills aren't being paid to the providers, the civilian providers. And this program almost mirrors identically to what's called the non-VA care program, which has been in existence for a long time. It was formerly known as fee basis. And it's the VA contracts with civilian providers to give care to the veteran that they either cannot provide or cannot provide promptly enough in the veteran situation. The problem with this is now we have a third party involved, which on the West Coast side, it's called Tri-West, and I apologize, I don't have the name of the one on the East Coast. They're responsible to take the referrals, find the civilian providers, connect the appointments, and then make sure that these providers get paid. Tri-West doesn't have the ability, and neither of them have the ability to actually make sure all of these happen very streamlined. What we're seeing is, and what we've been seeing now for several years, is it's just complicated the situation worse. In many cases, some of the initiatives that have been instituted by the VA, such as My Healthy Vet, secure e-messaging with the vet and your doctor, are complicating the situation even worse. The referrals aren't getting put through promptly. The payments aren't being made, therefore providers are backing out of the system. Intent was a good program. Unfortunately, we'd rather have seen that $10 billion be directly funded into the VHA with an initiative forced on them to fix what's wrong with their system, rather than keep reaching out to the third party or to the civilian community to try to fix their problems.
Mm-hmm. So, Lauren, when I was exploring and you were helping me and you were on my team and really giving me the push and encouragement, that one of the things that I was absolutely going to run on was the fact that we had to better care for our veterans and our existing members of the military. As you know, my father is a retired 1-9 Marine, suffers from PTSD. I've watched this my whole entire life. I to the extent of I understand what your life is like after being on the battlefield, because I witnessed it every single day for years. I still witness it today. He suffers from alcoholism and use of drugs, and he just never was able to get his life back together when he had come back from Vietnam. I mean, his body came home from Vietnam, but his brain and his heart, in many cases, remained there, and it has forever lived with him. And so he has paid, like you and so many others, such a great service to this country that goes beyond the time that you folks serve. For those people who just joined in late, and we have that all the time here, because by the time that people could actually find us on Facebook, that's another show. But by the time they find us on Facebook, they get in. I just want to give I sort of want to relive things for those people who just joined in about who you are, and then I want you to tell people what it is that you're currently doing, because as I was starting, had I continued to run and had I been elected, I would have made sure that one of the first people who would have been part of my team in that White House was you. Because the one thing about you that I think people are going to appreciate here is that I'm going to bet that you voted for Trump and not for Hillary. And that, big of me, right? So, that said, even though you voted for Trump, you're never going to put a president in front of veterans. I've never had you come across as being persuaded by politics. You've been persuaded by what is fair and what is unfair, and you have dedicated the remainder of your life. And for people who don't know, here it comes. The woman you're looking on the screen, this is Lauren Price. She came down with a lung disease. I'm going to keep it short. She came down with a lung disease from being in Iraq. When she came home here, she was basically just kicked to the curb, as I like to say, from the VA. And keep it on a split. Keep it on a split. You could go to that, Tim, for a second. And so she's terminally ill. And she is spending with her husband the rest of the days that she has here on Earth in trying to make sure that other veterans and the people who are in the military now do not suffer the same sort of fate that this beautiful woman right now goes through every single day. So that being said, I'm going to hand it back over to you, and I want you to tell everybody what it is that you are currently doing to try to make the United States a better place for veterans and for our current people in the military.
Well, Dennis, what we're doing right now is about 9 months ago, we started an investigation into what's commonly known as the Caregiver Support Program. The program's only open to post 9/11 veterans and their families. And that's a whole nother discussion as to the eligibility of it. What we discovered, though, last summer was that families, the caregivers specifically, was being revoked, is their term, out of the program, terminated without any lawful clinical or psychiatric justification. And in the course of our investigation, we have now discovered that 26,100 caregivers have been revoked in less than 3 years. That is more than are currently even in the program. And in the last 12 months, they have denied nearly 70% of the applications being put in for the program.
Why?
All we have is theory, because obviously I haven't found a whistleblower brave enough to come forward yet and tell us, hey, I was part of this process and I understand why this is happening. However, what we are dealing with is this. We've been running a poll since the beginning of the year, and we have, as of this morning's numbers, over 330 cases where people were revoked unlawfully. We have almost 400 cases of hard physical evidence, letters, documentation, medical records that clearly show violations of the law by the VA employees, which are the caregiver support coordinators is their title, revoking people, terminating them for it's called for cause, where they don't have to give them the 90-day stipend. It's like a severance pay. And then when the appeals go through, the appeals are always denied. All appeals are denied. And we have found that less than 0.1% are being reinstated on appeal. We have now managed to get Congress involved. Congressman Bill Rackus, our congressman here in Florida, who also happens to be the House Committee Vice Chair, has been a very strong supporter of our investigation and a strong supporter of us getting to the bottom of this and actually getting the program fixed. Because what is also on the table is an expansion bill that Senator Murray has been pushing to expand the program to all eras of veterans, which is something we fully support. But we can't turn this program over when only 30% of those applying get into the program, and we're talking tens of thousands are being revoked unlawfully, leaving some catastrophically wounded veterans, some of which aren't capable of even bathing themselves, feeding themselves, leaving the house, or being even left alone. There's no adult care facilities for these people, which is what the purpose of the program was about. But now when the stipends and the insurance and the other resources are stripped away, the families have no other choice. The wives and caregivers have to go back to work. They have to feed their families, and they're left with literally dangerous situations. We've had cases of the veteran sets the house on fire and things like this because they have a traumatic brain injury. We are now been invited to a roundtable discussion next week. We will be in DC for the roundtable discussion on the 27th. We are still trying to and working with congressional leaders to get a congressional hearing on the matter, because we want people under oath. We want people to discuss under oath what was the purpose behind these mass revocations and these tier reductions. Because this doesn't just affect those post 9/11 veterans. What this affects is it has a huge ripple effect into the communities at large. We have caregivers, family members that are left with no resources. They can't even get caregiver support coordinators to call back. After they're revoked, they're told you're not part of the program. We don't have to talk to you. That's if they return their calls.
Let me jump in for 1 second, Lauren. Because there's a level of confusion on my end. When you look at Obama, it was pretty easy to determine the fact that he never really gave a hoot, as far as I'm concerned, about the members of the military or the VA. The guy was more than happy to spend all of our tax money, but the one place that he didn't want to spend it all was on the military. And he kept on putting people in place of the VA, and we know how that whole scandal worked out, and it never got fixed. The part that I'm a little baffled on, and I'm not coming across like I'm trying to take a 2x4 to his back, but we have been in office here for almost 100 days, and we did run a Trump campaign, if you will, on the fact that we were going to take care of veterans. It was going to be one of the staples of the Trump presidency. Why am I hearing you tell me this right now? And on top of that, you'll probably know this case. I missed it, but I was pumping gas like 2 or 3 days ago, and I left the radio on, and I'm listening to the radio as I'm pumping the gas in my car, and it's talking about a VA center that was just nailed for not having the supplies it needed for basic care of veterans. And I'm listening to this, and I'm saying to myself, what the hell is going on? Why is this still happening? Why does it feel like we have to move mountains in order to just have basic care for veterans? Is this something that we need to pressure Trump on? Is this something that Trump's trying to do, but he's getting pushback from Congress? I mean, who is it that we need to turn upside down?
Frankly, I don't think we need to shake anyone by their ankles yet. I'm a firm believer in big picture things, 100,000-foot level, we call it. The president has done an enormous amount for this country, in my opinion, in the short time he's been in office. And when we're talking about turning an aircraft carrier around, you don't do it in a parking lot. It just doesn't happen that fast. The OIG investigation about DC, the DC facility is what you're referring to from that news broadcast. That investigation happened long before the president was in office. And it was the report was just released. And sometimes I don't have the report in front of me, but sometimes these reports take months to come out before they're actually publicized. Mm-hmm. Our concern is, and much more importantly, because obviously we've reached out to the president as well as far as this caregiver program. It's a very small program by dollars in the VA world, but it's going to have some very large impact if this expansion bill goes through. And we've reached out to the White House because we want the president's involvement for 2 reasons. One, every single soldier is going to come home and be a veteran. Every one of them. It's just, that's the evolution. And we already have somewhere, the numbers are kind of foggy, but between 22 and 25 million veterans in this country. Only a third of those are getting care through the VA healthcare system. And a report just came out, and it was based on the Obamacare garbage, excuse my language, wondering why veterans didn't apply for it or would rather have Obamacare than go to the VA. Well, if you've ever been in a VA facility, you know that 90% of the time they're filthy and you can't get any care and people are obnoxious and they're rude and they're condescending to you. It takes time to clean up something. This is the second largest government agency in the federal government. The only thing larger dollars-wise is the DOD. For the president to step into this right now, which he is doing, there are some significant wavelengths that are coming through. It's going to take a lot more time. Do we want his involvement? Absolutely. We want more involvement directly from the White House on this. But I think he's giving the current Secretary of the VA the opportunity to step into his new job and giving him a chance to fix things. And so far, with something as simple as he put out an unprecedented memorandum to halt all revocations in the caregiver system on Monday night. This is unprecedented. This doesn't happen. And he put that out, not allowing the director of the program to do it. So I think Dr. Shulkin is trying to take this bull by the horns. And I think the president's going to let him have some leeway to see what he does and how he handles these things. But going down the road, I truly hope that we can see a little bit more involvement other than document signing.
So let me ask you a couple. I want to do some rapid Q&A with you, and I ask you to use 1 to 10 as your answers. 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Right now, as of what's today, April 20th, how are veterans being cared for at the VA as a whole?
6.
If you were to compare that to, let's say, 2 years ago?
No change.
So it's still at 6. Okay. The effort put forward by the president, because you said that he is doing things and you're happy with what he's doing, and to get things changed, you used an aircraft carrier. I'm going to say this, I'm going to use the Titanic. People just, you just can't change the Titanic. It's a slow turn. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much effort do you see being put in right now to change the direction of the Titanic or the aircraft carrier?
I see about a 3. I would like to see a 7 or 8.
So, the great thing about where I sit here in the studio is that I get to not only see you, but I also get to see the comments that are flowing in through the people on Facebook. And there's one trend in every comment, aside from the thank you for your service, and they are devastated to hear that you have, a terminal disease. They're asking, what is it that they can do to help you? So aside from the fact that I will have one of my writers on DennisMichaelLynch.com write an article, and I get every month anywhere between 10 million to 20 million page views, and I'll link to your organization and I'll give all the information about you. We'll put a little tiny snippet of the clip here that we've done today on it there. We'll put that up for you tomorrow. But what else can people do? Because I can tell you that between my DML app, Facebook, which there's a big article out today about how Facebook is just taking publishers and just squashing them in terms of their reach. So unfortunately, I'm not reaching the amount of people we usually do, though we've seen a change in that in the last week. But in terms of my app, the website, and right now this video, I'm telling you, we're probably going to wind up reaching about 100,000 people by the time it's done. Give them, if you can, in 30 seconds to a minute, what can they do today to try to help you and help the veterans in this country who are only being treated at a 6 when they should be treated on a scale of 1 to 10, an 11?
Contact your legislator, contact your congressman or your congresswoman. Absolutely demand that the VA be subjected to an entire full overhaul. The IRS was subjected to one in the 80s, and it was a grassroots effort that prompted it. It took 7 years of grassroots, of people like you and I, Dennis, to demand it, but it happened. And I promise you, if we continue to come together, because 22 million veterans is not enough. That is not enough people, even if every single one of us stood together. We need the entire United States, every single taxpayer out there, to demand that the second biggest budget in the United States stop being squandered on bonuses, stop being squandered on artwork and pretty floors and things like this, and put that money into fixing the entire VA healthcare system, the entire VA claims process, the IT that's $1 trillion in the hole. Fix this. Make that the focus. Overhaul the VA.
All right, so I only got a couple of minutes here because, as I told you in the beginning, this has to unfortunately be a short walk and talk because we have work being done here in our studio. We still have another show to do for tonight and what have you. But of course, Lauren, I'll have you back anytime you want to come back, and you could be a regular as far as I'm concerned. Lauren, for people who joined in late, I just want to, I don't want to play the clip again, but I want to reference the fact that you right now are, I hate using the word, but I'm going to use it. All right? I mean, you are dying. You have a terminal illness that there's nothing you can do at this point, and your lungs, as you said today, are only working at 35% capacity. I've been in your presence before, and I know after a while, even doing an interview like this, I mean, this is long. This isn't your typical Fox News 4-minute hit. I mean, after speaking for a half hour, I know you're going to be drained after doing this. So the way, aside from how it is that you got the disease in Iraq, when you came back, this is what I want to focus in on, because I think people have to understand how bad it is at the VA. When you came back and you needed to be looked at, they kept on kicking you down the road, so to say. And from what I recall you telling me, they were taking your PTSD and they were taking your lung problem and meshing it into one, and one has no correlation to the other. And you had explained to me that a lot of times this is happening because the VA is based on a bonus schedule. So for the last 2 minutes, I'm not going to say a word. In 2 minutes, can you sort of give the condensed story of how they treated you and how it is that they get paid on a bonus schedule? Because I think people really need to understand that.
When I came home, I went through a program that was designed to install VA benefits for those eligible as soon as you got out of the military, if you had combat-related or service-connected injuries. And my lungs and my hands and my PTSD were all directly combat-related. The VA finally agreed to that after 4 years, 5 appeals, 2 congressionals. But the hard part was actually getting the health care. It was over a year to get a women's appointment. It was 15 months to see the pulmonary doctor, and my primary care doctor wasn't allowed to write the prescriptions for my lung medications, which are rescue inhalers and such, because those are exclusive to pulmonary. So I had to wait and was paying out of pocket to civilian providers for those medications just to be able to go to work every day. And later on, after they decided that my PTSD had to be cured, and that was actually the word that the doctor used, cured before he would treat my lung condition, we chose to leave the VA medical care because, as my civilian doctor said, he's going to do everything in his power not to let me die. And he's done a very good job at keeping me alive this long. Now we have a situation where every single time we've talked to a veteran, no matter where they are in the country or even in the world, the tone, the mannerisms, the culture of the VA healthcare system is that we'll get you in there when we can get you in there. And you better be grateful for whatever appointment you get. We discovered during our investigation 3 years ago about the claims processing system that under the union contract, department heads for the VA are given their bonuses. They're called performance awards. And the only way they get them is one of the key ways they get them is if they come in under budget. If their department comes in under budget, they get a bonus. So if you're the head of X-ray and X-rays cost $1,000 and you want that bonus every year, you're darn shooting going to make sure that no more than 10 X-rays get done every year. That is what's happened to the VA healthcare system. So if you have a clinical criteria of I'm only going to be able to do X number of procedures because if I will go over my budget, then you have a financial motivation to not take care of the veteran. We found out this morning, that the VA is claiming they are hiring at an unprecedented rate. Right this minute, there are, for VA clinical social workers, there are 79 openings nationwide, 80 openings nationwide. One of them is open to a veteran. The other 79 are only open to current federal employees. And they start off at $72,000 a year. So I have a problem. If they want to hire the best of the best out from the civilian world, they better open up the ranks to letting people in and stop the cattle mill, which is what they're running right now.
I have an idea. Call me crazy. But how about if we stopped giving free care to, I don't know, the 30 million illegal aliens in this country and took that money and gave it to our veterans instead? It's just an idea. Call me crazy.
Crazy talk.
All right, Lauren, I have to end it at that because we really are up against, I have to close out by 12:10 and it's 12:04. I got a couple little things at the end I do, you know. But that being said, you know I love you. I thank you so much for joining us today. I'll wind up reaching out to you next week. You let me know how things go down there in D.C. If you're down there in D.C., you got a good connection, maybe we'll have you back next week. If not, the week after, okay?
Okay, say hi to Mary and the kids for us.
Say hi on your end too. Say hi to Jim. I'll see you later.
I will.
All right.
Love you.
All right, if you could just disconnect, I appreciate it. So this way I don't have the feedback in my ear. Let me know when that's disconnected. We're disconnected? Okay, so that was Lauren Price. Here is a really brave woman. Think about this. If you were told you didn't have all that much time to live, it was uncertain about how long it was going to be, and each day your lung capacity was going into the negative, less and less and less, progressively less. How would you spend your life? Would you go out and make sure you're taking vacations and traveling all around? Would you go out bungee jumping? Would you go out doing whatever it is that you could do for yourself and just sucking in every single minute of the day in the most pleasant way you can? Maybe read a couple of books, maybe watch all your favorite movies, maybe travel around and visit your relatives if you could afford to do such a thing. This woman has decided to spend her time fighting for other veterans, so this way they don't need or have to go through the same sort of torture she's going through. And that right there, that woman that you just saw, that's America. That woman is America. Because that is what this country is supposed to be about. Where you put others and your country first and your well-being second. That is America. And so I do want to, I'm going to take a little kudos here. We all talk about, everybody who ever wants to talk about who it is that they surround themselves with when it comes to, who would be on your team. You can see who I surround myself with. That woman would be on my team for as long as she can handle it. She'd be right there with me. She'd say, Dennis, I'm going right there. And you know what? She'd be one of my first picks because I know that her heart and her mind can't be persuaded by money. It can't be bought. It can't be compromised. She has her beliefs. She knows what's right. It's not about right and left with her, although she is conservative. It's about right and wrong. And if we had more people who were like Miss Price and her great husband, this country would be so far better off. And I was happy to hear, because you know what? In her situation, she's got this lump of bad in her hands. What do I mean by that? She's got a bad situation for herself in the sense that, she knows she's terminally ill, and she got that because she served her country. She's in this bad situation also because the VA just treated her like a number and like a bonus, right? She's got all these veterans reaching out to her all the time with one bad story after the next. And did you see the way she looks? She looked like a dying woman to you. She's beautiful, she's got energy, and she's got determination. She is America, And I wish, as you can see, I never interrupt her, right? I want to change gears here in the last couple of minutes because this is going to be a shorter walk and talk. I have to wrap this up in the next 3 minutes. And your responsibility is to share this. Your responsibility is to share this. A woman like this doing all that thing, and all you got to do is hit the share button to help her out, make a phone call to a congressman and saying, hey, what are you doing? I'm hearing about the stories about how this VA operates and about what we're doing here. Get it together, or else I'm not pulling the lever for you again next time. Take something away from them. Take away from these congressmen and congresswomen, the beautiful free ride I think they get. All the benefit packages and the $174,000 a year for working half the year. The roughest thing they got to go through is now town halls where people throw little pieces of paper and saying, you're not doing your job, you're not doing your job. And that's the worst thing they got to deal with, okay? And you got somebody like this who's dying because she fought for the freedom of this country. It gets me, let me tell you, I go on a vicious rant about how it is that this country treats its veterans and its military. These people are the heroes. Want to talk about hero? There's so many words in this country we abuse. Hero is one of them. We totally have taken that word and crushed it down to nothing because we don't really use the word hero like it needs to be applied. That woman right there, get her a cape. She's a hero. So let me give you a couple of important things you need to know before we jump off here. First and foremost, I want to thank Lauren Price for taking time out of her day to be with you and to be with me. Number two is we have a hard-hitting show tonight on The Truth. We got so many emails from last night's show. I didn't even think last night's show was gonna do all that well. And Harlan, when we were done, Harlan's like, that was a great show. I said, really? He said, yeah. We did a thing about the family unit in America and how it is that it's basically vanishing. I got hit with more responses to that show than I've had all the other shows combined. Okay? People telling me, when I posted some of them today on our website, people saying to me, Harlan in his Harlan on the Hill section described my life. You know, we got something from one lady who came in. I put it up there. She says she's been with her significant other or boyfriend now, I think it was more than a decade. They can't get married. They want to get married, but they can't get married. They're afraid to get married. It's just too hard in this country to be married. And so it's too hard to raise a family and put together a family unit. And so people are coming back. If you haven't watched it, you go up to the top at DennisMichaelLynch.com, you hit the walk and talk button. It's up there. It's only 13 minutes long, and I think 6 minutes of it was talking about O'Reilly. For the 5 minutes we talk about the family unit, you should really watch it. But tonight's episode of The Truth, which I think is episode 14, I don't know, 13? I lose count, man. I lose count. But anyway, tonight's going to be about the unbelievable media attack, the left attack on the right. We're bringing in the O'Reilly stuff. We're bringing in the Facebook stuff. We're bringing in everything. We're going at it. And one of the people that we're going to highlight in this whole thing is George Soros. That's why Harlan isn't sitting here right now. He is upstairs preparing for the show of The Truth tonight, because it's that much stuff that we want to do and just push it through. You have to share it. You have to come in tonight, and you got to do your part. All right? That's that. The other thing is, and you're going to see, I'm going to ask you for something now. I don't usually do it in this kind of way, but I'm going to do it now, and I'm going to do it tonight, and I'm doing it for the next couple of days. In the past 12 hours, something has pretty much jumped in front of me. For those of you who know me a while, I do not appreciate, nor do I like, nor do I listen, nor do I subscribe to the whole conspiracy side of the right or the left. I can't stand that crap. I can't stand people who scare people for the sake of a click, or for the sake of a buck, or for the sake of getting their own attention. I can't stand that. All right? Nobody wants to be scared. If you want to get scared, you go watch a Hollywood movie. Even those don't work anymore. But you don't scare people through TV and radio, and you just don't do it. I don't find it to be very American. I find it to be a dirtbag's way of trying to enrich themselves. That said, I will tell you right now, I truly believe from the bottom top of my heart, over the past 12 hours, watching what has been taking place at Fox News and how some of this stuff has all come to be, and what it is that's going on with social media. I'm reading articles today about how it is that Facebook continues to suppress. We used to have 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people watch these walk-in talks. We're now down to 1,700. Now, granted, I probably got about 1,000 sitting over there on the app and on the DML website, but that is a third less. And the reason why it's a third less is because the 1.2 million people that we have on Facebook, the 1 million on my page, and then another 200,000 on a page called Fighting for Trump, they are no longer sending out the alerts to people. They are now asking you whether or not the things that are coming in through sites like ours is spam, whether or not it's fake news. Does Lauren Price look fake to you? Whoever at Facebook's watching this? I don't think so. So they're limiting it. And so everything that we've done here since November, when we said that we were going to build the DML studios, we were going to build the DML news brand, I go back to saying something. I didn't need to do this. In fact, there are days when I wish I hadn't, because I'm making far less money than I was prior to. And I mean far less money, all right? And so we asked for donations to build this stuff. And you folks stepped up, and some of you really stepped up, the ones who, people who have the ability to write checks, really, really stepped up to a level that I never thought I'd see. And then, of course, we get money every single day, $1, $2, $5. When somebody sends me $2, I know that $2 is something meaningful to them, all right? Because it takes just as much energy to send me $2 as it says to send me 2,000. And so for somebody to do that, that's pretty big. And so let me tell you, there have been many days, maybe sometimes between some of the outrageous, ridiculous comments that I get from people, there have been days when people have just been and not everything I get in the mail is nice, There have been days when the 4 hours of driving back and forth to this place, I say to myself, what the hell am I doing? I'm missing my kid's ball game. What am I doing? And at the end of the day, what drives me back here every single day, and where I ignore the fact of what the money I could be and should be making versus what I am, is the fact that I know that there are people on the other side, you, who are depending on the fact that we continue and build out what we need to build out. Because the one guy we had, the one name we had in the game, Fox News, has absolutely lost its way. It cannot find its buttocks with both hands. It is now being run by guys who donated a lot of money to the Clinton Foundation. Yeah. Just like the guy who I was doing television for ripped me off air in the middle of a broadcast, who gave $1 million to the Clinton Foundation. Yeah. The Murdochs don't want Fox News to be what Fox News was. They want it to be a center. A center. They want to call it center, which is another way of saying they're taking it to the left. Okay? And let me tell you, how many times do I tell you on this broadcast, you want to take down something big, you don't go for the little tiny stuff. You go for the top. You chop it off at the head. And that's why you make sure. Now, I'm not saying whether Bill O'Reilly is innocent or guilty of the allegations made against him. But the way that they handled this whole thing with Bill O'Reilly is despicable. And if you know how to read between the lines, it's an opportunist's way of making the shift. I'm too smart, and I know how Fox operates. I'm too into this to realize how things go. You don't take the _1 guy on cable news for 20 years and strip away his logo and strip away his show while he's off vacationing in Italy. You know why you don't do that? You don't do that because it's not about doing it to O'Reilly. It's about doing it to the 4 million people who tune into him every night, the people who pay your damn bills. When you do that to them and you don't give them the opportunity to say goodbye, you don't give them the opportunity to have him say goodbye to them, a man who, has enriched himself in many ways from being on Fox News. Absolutely. He wouldn't deny it. But do you know how much money that man gives to charity and how much money he has raised for veterans like Lauren Price? To strip him from the airways like that? Who do you think you are, Mr. Murdoch and boys? You're no men. You have no manhood. You are weak, feeble men. And so basically, you are left with very little. Because as that programming, it's the sign. You can see it. As that programming at Fox News starts to go this way, and I'm going to the left, I don't know if it's coming out the right way or not, but as they start doing what they're doing over there, and believe me, they're doing it, and as the mainstream media figures out the fact that you got to chop down the conservative message. Now, how do you do that? I'll tell you how you do it. You can't stop the First Amendment, but you can certainly stop them from being able to monetize it. And that's why Facebook and all these other different places, as far as I'm concerned, make it near impossible for conservatives to get their message out. That's why it is that I get stupid messages now that my video doesn't comply with community standards and can't be monetized. Really? Really? Do you know that I just got an email today from Google that says that General D's, who we had on last week, we did a little clip about how much danger North Korea presents to the United States of America. We made it a clip. It's been watched a lot of times. And they won't let us monetize it. It can't be an ad because it doesn't go along with the community standards. A U.S. retired general telling you, the American people, how dangerous North Korea is, it doesn't go along with the community standards. Bullshit. What it doesn't go along with is the liberal narrative. If you're going to take away the money,
if you're going to take away O'Reilly, if you're going to take guys like Lynch, and you're going to try to silence us, at least got the balls to say why it is you're doing it. Because either way, guys like O'Reilly, guys like Lynch, will find another way. You're just a stepping stone to where we're going. And if you think you're more than that, you got to stop believing your own bullshit.
Until later, may God bless you. May God bless our troops. May God bless the President of the United States and these United States. May God bless Lauren Price for her unbelievable and tireless service to the United States of America. See you later.